Okay, hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you how to install and use a skill for Claude Code and Codex, which allows you to talk to and clean up your flashcards in Anki. So let's go ahead and dive right in. First, to install the skill, you're just going to want to grab this bit of text here, open up Claude Code or Codex. I'm going to be using Claude Code today, and paste that in, and it will go ahead and install the skill for you. While it's doing that, let me just say something about why I made this skill. If you're anything like me and you have a lot of flashcards, you've probably written some duds. It's bound to happen when you're writing many flashcards. And unfortunately, Anki just doesn't have a very good built-in way of editing flashcards, especially in bulk. And so, this skill, not only is it going to make it easier for you to edit your flashcards, but it's also going to make it easier to find the ones that are causing you problems. Anki surfaces some metrics, but not really the ones that you want for identifying your problematic cards. And so that's something that this is going to do for you. Okay, so it's telling me the Anki skill is now live and ready to go. If you don't have Anki Connect installed in Anki, you're going to need to do that. And you're also going to need to make sure that Anki is open. So I have it open right here. In Claude Code, I believe you have to restart for the skill to activate. So let me go ahead and restart Claude Code. Okay, I've restarted it. I'm going to open a new chat with Command N, and then I'm going to type /Anki. Okay, so what it's going to do to start is it's going to do a bit of a health check on my deck or decks. And it's going to try to identify the conventions that I use for my cards. So for example, I write a lot of my cards using Obsidian, then I sync them into Anki. I also tend to flag cards that are causing me problems with a pink flag, which is flag number 5 in Anki. And I tend to suspend them as well if I know they really need to be rewritten. There's a couple of other little conventions that I have. You know, I have some extra fields on the back of my cards and things. And so we're going to give this a minute to work out what the conventions are, and then it's going to identify what the problematic cards are and help me fix them. So let's give that a minute to run, and then we'll come back and finish it off. Okay, so after a minute, it's gotten to the point where it's fairly confident about what it thinks my conventions are, and now it's asking me to just confirm. So yes, flag 5 is my fix me flag. That is correct. Where's the source of truth for your externally authored Obsidian to Anki cards? It is just the Obsidian Vault. Yes. I have an old vault as well, which is why it's asking me, should I read the notes field first? Yes, notes is my annotation field, and usually if I have a problem with a card, I will put a note in the notes field, which 9 times out of 10 will be the problem that I've identified. So that's great. It's going to save those to a conventions file, and then it's going to ask me what I want to do to start fixing up my problematic cards. So let's give that a minute. Okay, so this is the part that I love. The next thing that it does is a health check. So it's gone through my 9,000 cards and it has mapped them into a bunch of different areas. Supposedly most of my cards are on math and formal science. Then I have a bunch on economics. It's telling me a random sample of some of these, what the health of those cards is in terms of the lapse rate. It is... right, dividing them up into different categories, and then it's going to give me the worst ones. So, okay, it's telling me that my effort concentrates on geography. That's where I have the highest cluster lapse rate. That's probably because there are a few flags in the Ultimate Geography deck that I can just never quite remember that would be causing the majority of the problems. And the costliest individual cards are overwhelmingly made in Obsidian to Anki. So what are they? It's telling me now some of the worst cards that I've got. So it's sampled the worst 25 according to a custom metric that it uses. And it's telling me that arbitrary date or number recall is a problem for me. So I have some cards that are just asking trivia questions, basically, like what year was the APA founded? Now, I mean, there are reasons for having cards like this. There are also reasons for not having cards like this, but it's sort of unsurprising that these kinds of cards that have no additional context are doing really poorly and are causing me a lot more time. It's also picking up on some sort of metadata cards that I have on research papers, and then a couple of genuinely hard concepts that I'm actually struggling with. So now it's gonna suggest how to fix them, and that's the next step of the process. Okay, so it's actually giving me the option of whether I want to start working through my flag 5 cards or the ones that it's identified as the costliest cards. And actually, I'd probably prefer to work through my flagged cards. So let's just see what the next one is and how it suggests that I should fix it. So I'm going to type, let's work through the flagged 5 cards. What's the first one? We'll give it a sec. Okay, so it made the executive decision to start with the card that scored the worst on our custom metric. And what is that one? It is, what was agriculture share of US GDP in 1900 versus today? And then the back has not one, but two facts, the 1900s share and today's share. And one of these isn't even very precise, it's just less than 1%. So it's no wonder that I keep forgetting this. And it's something that I probably don't even need to know. But apparently I highlighted it in an article from Epoch AI. So it's telling me that it's not a good construction. The card is not constructed well. It's grading this based on the framework introduced in the Memory Machines report, which I'll link below. And it's telling me that there are a few ways that I could fix this. One is I could split it into 2 cards. That's not a bad idea. Then I only have 1 statistic to remember each time. Another is to add some kind of memory hook. So 15% is roughly 1 in 7 in the economy. That's not a bad idea either, sort of giving your memory more things to latch onto when you see this card. So I'm not entirely sure how I want to fix this right now. I probably would split it into 2, and then if I'm still not remembering it, I would add in some kind of memory hook. But that's the gist of it. Now I can go back and forth. It'll edit my cards for me as long as Anki is open, and it's not going to do anything in Anki to my cards unless I give it my explicit permission. So now, if you want, you can go ahead and remote control this. You can walk away from your computer. You can fix your cards on your phone when you have the time, which is what I tend to do. And you can start working down that list of, well, for me it's like 150 pink cards. Maybe it's not quite as many for you, but you can start working down that list of cards that need fixing. So yeah, I hope that's helpful, and yeah, enjoy.